What's happening, gamers? It's KMega405 live from the 405, where I'm just your regular gamer talking to the intelligent gamers. Now, tell me if you've been in this situation where you've actually been told by some people about a particular game or games that's had high Metacritic scores. You've played a couple of those games. Maybe those games weren't your cup of tea. You told them that this wasn't the type of game that you were into, and then you get labeled a fraud, or that you don't really know about gaming, or you're so-called a casual because a game that may have been nominated for Game of the Year or RPG of the Year, etc. And if it wasn't your cup of tea, how does that make you a casual gamer? I've been stressing this for a long time now, that Metacritic scores does not make or break a game. It's just all about a preference. And it just goes back to when I used to watch movie critics back in the days, man. I used to listen to these two guys, Siskel and Ebert. And I remember when Blade came out, and I was really excited about Blade. Wesley Snipes was one of the hottest actors in that time, that little era. And he was doing this comic book character, and I was thinking like, oh man, but these comic book movies, a lot of them was absolutely trash. But I wanted to listen to hear what the critics had to say about the movie, and Siskel and Ebert destroyed that movie. They said that it was the dumbest thing that they've seen. It was a waste of money. It was too gory. It didn't make any sense. They just ripped it. I'll never forget it, because I was kind of down, like, man, should I go see this? And I also remember that other critics was following suit, because Siskel and Ebert was one of the biggest popular critics out there. So a lot of other critics was over there following suit and saying that the movie wasn't all that great. But then when Blade blew up, when the movie actually got great high numbers, then there was people over there changing their tone. And then ever since then, I was like, I'll never listen to a critic again about anything, because I know what I like. And to this day, the only critic that I really listened to after that Siskel and Ebert situation was Adam Sessler, because I thought that he was fair. I thought he was fair on every game. He gave Xbox hell, he gave PlayStation hell, he gave Nintendo hell, even PC games hell. He said it how it was, which games were good, which games were not. And for the other critics that was kind of following Adam Sessler's shoes and doing it the right way, it's gone. But what's not gone is choice. And PC gamers have decided that Metacritic scores is really not that important, which I've been stating this fact for a long time, is that these guys are playing games that they like, and not because it is so-called the best of the best or the most popular because of Metacritic score. Now, there was an article that I was reading, and it was pertaining about Steam players, and they was talking about the top selling games. And out of these top selling games, they wanted to do an analysis to see if a lot of these games that had high Metacritic scores outperformed the games that had low Metacritic scores. But as to no one's surprise, most of these PC gamers chose games that were the lower Metacritic score games, because those games seemed more appealable to them. Case in point, there was games like, of course, Ark. Ark is mostly pertained to a PC type of game, but there was other games that kind of was surprising. There was a game that was called The Hunter, Call of the Wild, had a Metacritic score of 64, outperformed games like Nier Automata, Resident Evil 7. You had also high Metacritic score games of What Remains of Edith Finch. I believe that game did win an award. That game didn't sell as well, neither did Night in the Woods. Evolver had a decent Metacritic score, but these games got outdone by games like Ghost Recon that had a 69 Metacritic score. You know, Dishonored 2 has had, I think it was close to the 90s with a Metacritic score, but that game hasn't sold well anywhere. Plus, if you just look at the top 10 on the console sales, you see it's mostly a lot of multiplat, so-called casual games, and a few exclusives sprinkled in. And it's not any surprise that multiplats has ruled this generation. Exclusives are important. They will always be important. But again, for people that will call you frauds, or they'll say that you're not a true gamer, you're a casual because you like to play NBA 2K18 or Live or any of these multi-plats instead of playing Persona or playing Halo Wars 2, it doesn't really matter. That's irrelevant. This is all about preference. This is all about choice. And now that it's the new year and we're already starting to see these PlayStation 4 lists of exclusives that will be coming out, which 80 to 90% of these people that bring up these lists will not buy, purchase, rent, or even play these games. And they won't even be talked about unless they're up for an award or if they get high numbers in sales. And I get it that it's fine to be critical towards Xbox because Xbox has made a lot of bad decisions for this generation. But also, instead of telling me about sales numbers or telling the public about what is outsold what or how many console sales are out there or Metacritic scores of certain games, how about being critical of the company that you support? Because when I want to be critical towards Sony, what I get told is how many console sales that the company has, which is supposed to tell me that you've won something. And I don't really know what you've won, except for bragging rights. And if that's all that you have is to lay your hat on, is to say that, well, it's the bragging rights of just saying that they outsold every other console out there, then that's pretty shallow. And what I hear is a lot of followers and no leaders. It's just like a bunch of cattle. You just follow a couple of cows and they all jump off the cliff together, because it just seems like that's the only narrative that you guys have. So stop talking about Metacritic scores and sales numbers and show us the gameplay. Get us engaged into the games that you love so much and why these exclusives are so-called the best this generation. That's all I'm saying. And that goes for every platform. I know that I'm singling out just PlayStation, and I know I'm going to have plenty of PlayStation fans say what they want to in the comment section, but the fact of it is that, look, we have to get off of this silly-ass thought process of that if it's got a high Metacritic score, that game is actually better than everything else that has a lower Metacritic score. It's all preference. It's all opinion. So I commend the PC community, the Steam community, that just play games that they enjoy. Don't care about who's got an high achievement score, who has a good trophy score. They just play what they want to play. Doesn't matter if it's an RTS or if it's a RPG, if it's a shooter, if it's a puzzle game. It is all about what you enjoy. That's how it's always been. And once some of those hardcore gamers get that dumb thought process out of our heads that because PlayStation is outselling everybody by a mile, that everything else is garbage, because it's not. But I like to hear your thoughts. Everybody have a good one. Peace.